The ferry ride across to Vancouver Island had been peaceful. My wife, Linda, and I had been looking forward to this weekend at our Tofino cottage for months. The October air was crisp, carrying that familiar salt and cedar scent that always reminded me why we'd bought this place 30 years ago. When we pulled into the gravel driveway, I noticed the rental car immediately. A silver BMW X5, parked right in front of the cottage. British Columbia plates. I didn't recognize it. Linda looked at me. "Were you expecting someone?" I shook my head. Our son Bradley lived in Toronto with his wife Michelle. They had a key, of course, but Bradley always called before using the cottage. Always. It was our agreement. I turned off the engine and sat there for a moment, staring at that BMW. Something felt wrong. The curtains in the living room were drawn, which was unusual. We never closed those curtains. The whole point of that room was the ocean view. "Maybe Bradley surprised us," Linda said, but her voice didn't sound convinced. I stepped out of the truck. The wind coming off the Pacific was stronger than I expected. I walked toward the cottage, my boots crunching on the gravel. Linda stayed in the truck. I didn't knock. It was my cottage. The front door was unlocked. I pushed it open and stepped inside. The first thing I noticed was the wine glasses on the coffee table, 2 of them. A bottle of Okanagan Red, half empty. Then I heard the laughter. Coming from upstairs, from the master bedroom. A woman's laugh. I recognized it. Michelle. Then a man's voice. Deep, unfamiliar. Definitely not my son's. I stood there in the entrance, my hand still on the door handle. 43 years in the Canadian Armed Forces, 20 of those in intelligence. I'd learned to control my reactions, to assess before acting, to never let emotion cloud judgment. But this was different. I heard footsteps upstairs, movement. Then Michelle's voice, clearer now. "Did you hear something?" I didn't move, didn't breathe. More footsteps. Then they appeared at the top of the stairs. Michelle, wearing one of my son's old McGill sweatshirts, and nothing else. Behind her, a man, tall, dark hair, maybe 40 years old. He was buttoning his shirt. Michelle saw me first. The color drained from her face so fast I thought she might faint. Her hand gripped the railing. The man behind her froze. "Dad," she said. That's what she'd called me since the wedding 8 years ago. "Dad, I can explain." I said nothing. The man looked at Michelle, then at me. He had the sense to look afraid. "I should go?" he said. "Yes," I replied. "You should." He practically ran down the stairs, squeezing past me without making eye contact. I heard the BMW start, heard the gravel spray as he reversed out of the driveway too fast. Then silence. Michelle came down the stairs slowly. She'd put on jeans now, but she was still wearing my son's sweatshirt. The irony wasn't lost on me. "Please," she said, "please, you have to understand." I walked past her into the living room. I looked at the wine glasses, the bottle, the throw blanket bunched up on the couch. I looked at the fireplace, where logs had been burning but were now just embers. They'd been here a while. "How long?" I asked. "What? How long have you been using my cottage for this?" She didn't answer. "How long, Michelle?" 6 months, she whispered. "Maybe 7. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger, not yet. Something else. Calculation. "Bradley doesn't know you're here." It wasn't a question. "No. He thinks I'm at a wellness retreat in Whistler, with my friend Sarah." I nodded slowly. "Bradley? My only son. Bradley, who had worked 80-hour weeks at his law firm to buy Michelle the house she wanted in Rosedale. Bradley, who had postponed having children because Michelle said she wasn't ready. Bradley, who called me every Sunday without fail. Bradley, who trusted this woman completely. Michelle moved closer to me. Her hand reached out and touched my arm. "Please," she said again. "You don't have to tell him. This would destroy him. You know it would." I looked at her hand on my arm. "We can keep this between us," she continued. "I'll end it. Today. Right now. I'll call Marcus and tell him it's over. Bradley never has to know." "Marcus," I repeated. "That's his name. He's nobody. He's nothing. I made a mistake. People make mistakes." I removed her hand from my arm. "What do you want?" she asked. I'll do anything. Just please, don't tell Bradley. I studied her face. This woman I'd welcomed into my family, who'd sat at my dinner table every Christmas for 8 years, who'd kissed my cheek and called me Dad. Anything? I said. She nodded eagerly. Yes, anything. I want you to leave, now. Take whatever you brought and go. Relief washed over her face. Of course. Yes. I'll leave right now. Thank you. Thank you for understanding. I said nothing. She hurried upstairs to gather her things. I heard drawers opening, a bag being zipped. 5 minutes later, she came back down with a small suitcase. I'm sorry, she said at the door. I really am. I never meant for anyone to get hurt. I still said nothing. She left. I heard her rental car start, heard it disappear down the road toward the highway. Linda came in through the front door. She'd been waiting in the truck the whole time. She looked at me, at my face, and she knew. She always knew. What happened? She asked. I told her. When I finished, Linda was crying. Not for Michelle. For Bradley. For what this would do to him. What are you going to do? She asked. I walked to the window and looked out at the ocean. The waves were rough today. A storm was coming. I'm going to make one phone call, I said. But not to Bradley. Not yet. I pulled out my phone and called my old friend Gerald Huntington. Jerry had been a JAG officer back when we served together. Now he ran one of the most respected family law firms in Vancouver. Robert, Jerry said when he answered. It's been too long. How's retirement treating you? I need your help, Jerry. It's about my son. I told him everything. When I finished, there was a long pause on the other end of the line. This is going to be ugly, Jerry said. But if we do this right, we can protect Bradley. What do you need from me? Information, I said. And a plan. That phone call was the beginning. Over the next 3 weeks, I became someone I hadn't been in 20 years. An intelligence officer. A hunter. I didn't tell Bradley anything. Not yet. I knew that the moment I told him, he would confront Michelle. He was like me that way. Direct, emotional. He would demand answers, and she would have time to prepare, to hide things, to protect herself. I couldn't let that happen. Jerry connected me with a forensic accountant named David Chen. David had worked fraud cases for the RCMP before going private. He was expensive, but he was the best. What exactly are you looking for? David asked when we met at his office in downtown Vancouver. I don't know yet, I admitted, but my instincts tell me there's more to find. The affair isn't the whole story. David nodded. They usually aren't. Give me what you have, and I'll see what I can dig up. I gave him what little I knew. Michelle's maiden name, her previous addresses, her employment history. Bradley handled all their finances, or so he thought. But Michelle had insisted on keeping one credit card in her own name. For emergencies, she'd told Bradley. He'd thought nothing of it. That credit card became our starting point. Within a week, David had a preliminary report. Your daughter-in-law has been busy, he said, spreading documents across his desk. Over the past 18 months, she's opened 3 separate bank accounts in her maiden name. Total deposits just over $400,000. I stared at the numbers. Where did the money come from? That's where it gets interesting. David pointed to a series of transactions. These deposits correspond exactly to withdrawals from your son's business account. She's been siphoning money out of his law practice. I felt that coldness in my chest again, spreading. How is that possible? Bradley would notice $400,000 missing. Not if she's smart about it. And she is. David pulled out another document. She's been doing it in small amounts. $5,000 here, $8,000 there, all coded as operating expenses. Office supplies, client entertainment, professional development. Your son probably never even looks at these line items. I thought about Bradley, my brilliant son, top of his class at Osgood Hall, partner at his firm by 35. But when it came to Michelle, he had a blind spot the size of Lake Ontario. There's more, David continued. I found a safety deposit box at a TD Bank branch in Yorkville, opened 14 months ago, registered to Michelle using her maiden name and her mother's old address. What's in it? I don't know yet. I'd need your son's cooperation to access it legally. Or what? Or we wait and watch. See what else she does. Build a complete picture. I chose to wait. Over the next 2 weeks, I flew to Toronto twice. Both times, I told Bradley I was visiting old military friends. He believed me. Why wouldn't he? I'd never lied to my son in his life. But I was lying now. For him, I hired a private investigator named Carmen Rodriguez. Carmen had worked organized crime cases for Toronto police before starting her own agency. She was discreet, thorough, and had no patience for people who cheated on their spouses. I've seen a lot of these cases, Carmen told me. Usually, it's just the affair. The financial stuff you're describing, that's different. That's not a woman who made a mistake. That's a woman with a plan. What kind of plan? Exit plan. She's building her own nest egg, probably waiting for the right moment to file for divorce. In Ontario, she'd be entitled to half of everything accumulated during the marriage anyway. But this way, she gets to hide assets first. Takes more than her share. I thought about the Rosedale house, Bradley's pension, the cottage in Tofino that had been in my family for 3 generations. Can we stop her? If we have enough evidence, yes. Ontario courts don't look kindly on hidden assets and financial deception. Your son could claim she's been unjustly enriching herself at his expense. Might even be able to make a case for fraud. What do you need from me? Carmen smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. Access, she said, and patience. 3 days later, Carmen called me with news. Marcus Belanger, she said. That's the boyfriend. He's a real estate developer based in Montreal, divorced twice. Has a reputation for dating married women. How did they meet? A conference in Montreal last year. Michelle was there representing Bradley's firm at some legal seminar. Marcus was a speaker. How long have they been together? My sources say at least 18 months. Long before she started using your cottage. 18 months. The same time frame as the hidden bank accounts. Not a coincidence. There's something else, Carmen continued. I looked into Michelle's background more closely. Did you know she was married before Bradley? I felt like I'd been punched. No, Bradley never mentioned that. That's because Bradley doesn't know. Michelle married a man named Thomas Greer in 2010. They divorced in 2012. Thomas filed for divorce, claiming irreconcilable differences, but I talked to one of his relatives. Off the record, the real reason was financial. Michelle had run up over $100,000 in debt in Thomas's name. Credit cards, lines of credit, even a second mortgage on their house that Thomas knew nothing about. I sat down heavily. She's done this before. Yes, and she's better at it now. More careful. She learned from her mistakes with Thomas. I thought about my son, about the life he thought he had. I need to tell Bradley. Not yet, Carmen said. We're close, but we don't have everything. Give me 1 more week. Let me find out what's in that safety deposit box. 1 week stretched into 2. Carmen discovered that Michelle visited the safety deposit box every Thursday morning when Bradley was in court. Always Thursday. Always around 10 o'clock. She would spend about 20 minutes inside the bank, then leave. I have a contact at TD, Carmen told me. Someone who owes me a favor. He can't tell me exactly what's in the box, but he confirmed it's a large size, the biggest they offer. Whatever she's hiding, it's substantial. Meanwhile, David, the forensic accountant, had uncovered even more. The $400,000 Michelle had siphoned from Bradley's business was just the beginning. She'd also been slowly transferring money from their joint investment accounts into a portfolio registered in her maiden name. Another $200,000. And she'd taken out a home equity line of credit on the Rosedale house without Bradley's knowledge, using a forged signature on the documents. Forgery, I said to David. That's criminal. It is. But proving it will be difficult unless Bradley files a complaint. And even then, it's his signature against hers. She'll claim he authorized it. What about the hidden accounts? The secret portfolio? All technically legal, as long as she discloses them during divorce proceedings, which, of course, she wouldn't. I was beginning to understand Michelle's plan. She was going to divorce Bradley, claim her half of everything, and walk away with the assets she'd already hidden. Bradley would never know he'd been robbed twice, unless I stopped her. The breakthrough came on a Wednesday evening. Carmen called me, excitement barely contained in her voice. I know what's in the safety deposit box. How? Michelle made a mistake. Last Thursday, when she left the bank, she was carrying a folder. She stopped at a coffee shop nearby, and while she was waiting for her order, she opened the folder to check something. My associate was watching. He got photos. Carmen sent me the images. The folder contained documents, insurance policies, all naming Marcus Belanger as the beneficiary, life insurance policies on Bradley, totaling $3 million. I felt the room tilt. She's planning to kill him. Maybe, Carmen said carefully, or maybe she's just covering all her bases. Some people take out insurance policies on their spouses as part of a normal estate plan. Without their knowledge, naming her boyfriend as the beneficiary? Carmen was silent. We need to act, I said. Now. Agreed. But carefully. If we tip our hand too soon, she could destroy evidence, make up a story. Your son might even believe her. She was right. Bradley loved Michelle. He trusted her completely. If I went to him with accusations, he would want proof. And if Michelle knew we were onto her, she would make that proof disappear. What do you suggest? A confrontation, Carmen said, but on our terms, with everything laid out, documents, photos, financial records. Make it impossible for her to deny. I agreed, but before I could confront Michelle, I needed Bradley to see the truth for himself. I flew to Toronto the following weekend. I told Bradley I wanted to take him to lunch, father and son. He was delighted. He had no idea what was coming. We met at a restaurant in the financial district. Bradley looked good, tired but good. He talked about his cases, about the new partner track he was on, about how Michelle was planning a trip to Europe for their 10th anniversary. I listened. I nodded. I waited. After the main course, I pulled out a folder. I need to show you something, I said, and I need you to promise me you'll look at everything before you say anything. Bradley frowned. Dad, what's going on? Promise me. He nodded slowly. I opened the folder and placed the first document on the table, a photograph of Michelle and Marcus at the Tofino Cottage. They were on the deck, embracing. The date stamp was visible in the corner. Bradley's face went pale. What is this? Keep looking. I showed him the next document. Bank statements showing the hidden accounts. Then the forensic analysis of his business records. The forged home equity line of credit. The secret investment portfolio. Bradley's hands were shaking. This can't be right, he whispered. There must be some mistake. There's no mistake, son. Finally, I showed him the life insurance policies. $3 million. Marcus Belanger's name as beneficiary. Bradley stared at that document for a long time. She was going to. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe, or maybe it was just another way to steal from you. Either way, you needed to know. Bradley put his head in his hands. When he looked up, there were tears in his eyes. How long have you known? I told him. All of it. The cottage, the phone call to Jerry, the forensic accountant, the private investigator, everything I'd done over the past month. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because you would have confronted her. And she would have had time to destroy evidence, to make you doubt what you were seeing. I couldn't let that happen. Bradley was silent for a long moment. What do we do now? I had been waiting for that question. We go home, I said. And we give Michelle one chance to explain herself. 3 hours later, we walked into the Rosedale house. Michelle was in the kitchen, preparing dinner. She smiled when she saw Bradley. You're home early. I thought you were having dinner with your... Then she saw me behind him. Her smile vanished. What's going on? I placed the folder on the kitchen counter. We need to talk, I said. Michelle looked at the folder, looked at Bradley, back at me. I could see her mind working, calculating, trying to figure out how much we knew. Whatever that is, she said. I can explain. Can you? I opened the folder and spread the documents across the counter, one by one. Photos first, then the bank statements, the forged line of credit, the life insurance policies. Michelle watched each document appear with growing horror. Where did you get these? She demanded. This is private. You had no right. No right? Bradley's voice cracked. No, right? You've been stealing from me for over a year. You've been having an affair. You took out $3 million in life insurance policies on me and named your boyfriend as the beneficiary. And you talk about rights? Michelle turned to Bradley. Her voice changed, softer, pleading. Baby, listen to me. This isn't what it looks like. Yes, I made some mistakes. The affair, it was wrong. I know that. But the financial stuff, that's all a misunderstanding. I was trying to protect us, to build a safety net in case anything happened to your firm. By forging my signature? By hiding money in accounts I didn't know existed? I was going to tell you, I swear. I just needed time to figure out the best way. Bradley shook his head. And Marcus, you were going to tell me about him too? Michelle's face hardened. Marcus has nothing to do with our marriage. He's named as the beneficiary on $3 million of life insurance policies. On my life. How does that have nothing to do with our marriage? Michelle's composure finally cracked. You don't understand, she snapped. None of you understand. Do you know what it's like being married to someone who works 90 hours a week? Who cares more about his cases than his wife? I've been alone in this marriage for years. Marcus actually sees me. He appreciates me. He's a twice-divorced real estate developer who dates married women. I said, You're not special to him. You're a pattern. Michelle turned on me with fury in her eyes. This is your fault. You've always hated me. Always thought Bradley could do better. Well, congratulations. You've destroyed our marriage. I hope you're happy. I met her gaze evenly. I didn't destroy anything, Michelle. I just revealed what was already there. I want you to leave, Bradley said quietly. Tonight, I'll have my colleague draw up separation papers tomorrow. Michelle laughed bitterly. Fine, but don't think you're getting away with this. I know my rights. Under Ontario law, I'm entitled to half of everything. Half the house, half your pension, half your investments. Good luck paying for your father's little investigation when I'm done with you. I smiled. About that, I said. I pulled out one final document from my jacket pocket. A sworn statement from Thomas Greer, Michelle's first husband, detailing the financial fraud she'd committed during their marriage, explaining why he hadn't pressed charges at the time. He'd been embarrassed, ashamed. He just wanted it to be over, but now he was willing to testify. This changes things, I said. Ontario courts take a dim view of spouses who commit financial fraud, especially repeat offenders. Your claim to half of Bradley's assets becomes much less certain when a judge sees this pattern of behavior. And the forgery on the home equity line? That's criminal. My lawyer tells me you could face charges. Michelle's face went white. You can't do this. I can, but I'm willing to make you an offer. Leave, tonight. Take only what you brought into this marriage. Sign the separation papers without contesting them, and we won't pursue criminal charges. That's not fair. No, I agreed. It's not, but it's more than you deserve. Michelle looked at Bradley, looking for something. Sympathy, maybe, or guilt. Some weakness she could exploit. She found nothing. My son's face was stone. You have until midnight, Bradley said. Leave your keys on the counter. Michelle gathered what she could. 2 suitcases worth. She called a taxi while we watched in silence. At the door, she turned back. You'll regret this, she said to Bradley. Both of you. I could have made you happy. No, Bradley replied. You couldn't. She left. The taxi pulled away, and the house was quiet. Bradley sat down heavily at the kitchen table. I sat beside him. I'm sorry, I said. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. How long? He asked. How long have you suspected something was wrong? I thought about it. Years, I admitted. Little things. The way she always steered conversations away from money. The way she never quite looked me in the eye. But I told myself I was being paranoid. That she was just different from us. You should have told me. Would you have believed me? Before today? Bradley was quiet for a long moment. No, he finally said. I wouldn't have. We sat in silence. Father and son. The documents still spread across the counter. Evidence of a betrayal 8 years in the making. What happens now? Bradley asked. Now? You rebuild. It'll take time. But you're young. You're successful. You have your whole life ahead of you. I feel like such a fool. You're not a fool. You trusted someone. That's not foolish. That's human. Bradley looked at me. Thank you, Dad, for everything. For protecting me. I put my hand on his shoulder. That's what fathers do. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. Michelle contested nothing, just as she'd agreed. Bradley kept the house, his pension, his investments. Everything she'd tried to steal was returned. Thomas Greer's statement was never filed with the court. We'd made a deal, and I intended to honor it. But David Chen kept copies of everything, just in case. Marcus Belanger, we learned, had ended things with Michelle within a week of her leaving Bradley. Apparently, he wasn't interested in a woman without access to her husband's money. Carmen had been right. Michelle wasn't special to him. She was a pattern. Last I heard, Michelle was living in a small apartment in Hamilton, working as an office manager. She'd tried to contact Bradley twice. He didn't respond. As for Bradley, he took 6 months off from the firm, traveled to Europe alone, spent some time at the Tofino Cottage, just sitting on the deck and watching the ocean. Healing. He came back changed, quieter, more careful, but also stronger. He met someone new last year, a woman named Sarah. She's a pediatric nurse at Sick Kids Hospital. She makes Bradley laugh in a way Michelle never did. I watched them together at Thanksgiving dinner, and I saw something I hadn't seen in years. My son was happy, genuinely happy. After dinner, Bradley and I stood on the back deck, looking out at the Toronto skyline. Thank you, he said again, for that phone call. Which one? The first one. To Jerry. That's where it all started. I nodded. I've been thinking about it, Bradley continued. What would have happened if you hadn't called anyone? If you'd just told me what you saw at the cottage? You would have confronted her. I would have. And she would have cried, apologized, promised it would never happen again, and I would have believed her. Would you? Yes. Because I wanted to believe her. I wanted my marriage to be real. He paused. That's why you couldn't tell me. Not until you had proof I couldn't ignore. Yes. How did you know? How did you know that proof would be there? I thought about it. About 43 years in the military. About learning to read people. About trusting instincts that had been honed over decades. I didn't know, I admitted. I suspected. I hoped. But I didn't know. What if there had been nothing? What if it really had just been the affair? Then the affair would have been enough. But Michelle was too careful, too calculated. That kind of carefulness usually means there's something to hide. Bradley nodded slowly. I'm going to ask Sarah to marry me, he said. Next month, at the cottage. I felt my heart swell. That's wonderful, son. Will you be there? You and Mom? We wouldn't miss it. Bradley smiled. That genuine smile I remembered from when he was young. Before Michelle. Before the betrayal. I love you, Dad. I love you too, son. We stood there for a while longer, father and son, watching the city lights flicker on as darkness fell. The past was behind us. The future was waiting, and I knew with absolute certainty that everything was going to be all right. If you've enjoyed this story, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below sharing where you're watching from and what time it is there. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to hear another story of justice served, click on the video appearing on your screen right now. I'll see you there.